Awesome. Are you in channel 17? Yeah. Oh, okay. Cool. We've been wanting to start doing a live feed, and so we're doing got this Google Hangouts on the air going. So we're kind of testing that out, seeing if it's a good option. Yeah. Yeah. Really? Oh, that's good. That's good to hear.
How are you doing?
Yeah, that's a random agency. So I think it happens right. Because we no race. And then so you just kind of have to follow target small businesses. How you get money on like this. They're all architects now. We just make courses. Our marketing take care of themselves. I come down from so this is my first time here. This one. Here, so yeah, that's so good. It's all relative. It's all relative.
Good morning. All right. As you guys are getting your pancakes and good stuff this morning, we'll go ahead and get started with announcements. How's everyone doing this morning? Feeling good? Awesome. I'm doing good. Things are well. You know, we're excited today. We've got a fun group of presenters. We've got some cool groups coming up next week. So it feels good. 1 million cups. Provo's doing well. We're actually Allison and Zenobia, who are also organizers with us today. They're going to be going out to the Kaufman Foundation, representing Provo, meeting with other cities, kind of hearing how their communities are doing, giving a report on how we're doing, and we're excited for that. So it's always fun to kind of check in. We've been going 2 years strong. Provo has always been one of the cities that is asked to present on how we're doing. A lot of cities have trouble finding presenters and new businesses to share kind of their stories. We do not. Provo, we always have new businesses, new ideas happening, and 1 Million Cups hasn't really had the issue with finding presenters. So it's really cool. We're in an awesome place. Today we've got some awesome people presenting. So anyways, so to answer your question, yes, we're doing good. We're excited. We feel good. So that's all because of what you guys are doing. So shout out to everyone in the room today. Yeah, so as we're presenting, the conversations being had, not just up here in the crowd, there are conversations on social media. If you want to follow them, just look at the hashtag 1MC. All right, so announcements. We're going to go ahead and get started with a few announcements. So we've got food trucks, petting zoo, fire truck, bounce house, and the mayor tomorrow here for the Provo City birthday party. It's from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's a block party, so a lot of the people in this area are going to be throwing events, having fun stuff. So that'll be good. Any other cool things, like cool things happening that you guys know that would be worth? Go ahead.
We'll be having a waterjet class.
Oh, cool. All right. If you want to learn how to shape, cut, and make cool things with water, talk to him. Awesome. All right. So we're going to go ahead and get started with our first presenter. And then, so how it works if you're here for the first time, 5 to 7 minutes of presentation, followed up by 10 to 15 minutes of question and answer. Typically goes as good as your questions are. So challenge to you guys, think of some good questions. The presenters are looking for feedback. So we're going to invite, if I say it wrong, I apologize, Spero to come on up. All right. Round of applause for Spero.
All right, well, this is my first Million Cups meeting, so I think I'm going to tell our story. If I'm going too long, please cut me off. I'm not really sure exactly how these things work. But my name's Rowan. I'm with Spero. To give you a breakdown, we build mobile communities and tools around chronic illness. And our first product is called Spero for Cancer. As you may guess, it's for the cancer community. So I had cancer a couple times growing up. I had something called Ewing sarcoma, a bone cancer. I got it when I was like 12, almost 13. And again, it came back when I was about 16. I did surgery, chemo, both times, finished with a stem cell transplant the second time. It was a good 4 years of my life or so that I spent in and out of the hospital. And to be honest, I had the most perfect support around me when I was going through treatment. I had like 40 friends shave their heads the first time I got cancer. I had a female art teacher do it. I had like great church friends, school friends, family that were willing to do anything for me. But what's interesting is, despite all that, I realized that I still felt alone during my treatment. And that was because I didn't have anybody that really knew what I was going through. And so I never felt comfortable talking about all the cancer things that were happening. And I thought that was just me being kind of optimistic and not being someone that naturally wants to like bring everyone down with some sad news about how bad I felt. But I realized that it's super common. And even though that worldwide there's 14 million people that are diagnosed every year with cancer, each and every one of them feel alone because they don't have somebody to talk to. And that's where our inspiration comes from for Spero. And so with our first product, Spero for Cancer, what it does, to give you a breakdown, it's pretty simple. You come on and we grab your information and you're connected with other users that are like you. So we connect our users based off cancer, shared characteristics like cancer type, stage, age, location, things like that. And we help them find other users or posts that are going to help them throughout their patient life cycle. Now, there's obviously a lot of things that I learned in cancer and going through it that have helped me during my life. And there's a lot of parallels between it and the startup world. And one thing that I was thinking about before I tell you a little bit about our story is, that everybody, when you're diagnosed, you go through treatment. And from the outside world, it all seems the same. You're just going through a process to try to get better. But when in reality, everyone's case is super different, and everyone's going to react different. And sometimes you're going to get better fast, and sometimes you're going to get better slow. And some things are going to work, and some things aren't going to work. Which is interesting, because in the end of the day, it's important to focus on yourself and fight your own fight. And I think that's something that we've realized at Spero, is it's important. You hear a lot of things in blog posts, and you only hear the news of happy news from other startups and things like that. I think it's important to, and what we've learned is to be patient and to fight your own fight. And put it in perspective, when we first had the idea for Spero, it was probably like a year and a half ago. It was literally 2 summers ago that we first really decided we want to do this. But to be honest, we had no idea where to begin. We were delusional and thought we did, but we didn't. We were just BYU kids that were like, oh yeah, we'll just build this thing and do it. But we didn't know how to build a full platform. We had no idea. We built some static websites for people and did graphic design. We were so far away. And what we did and how we came to be was a slow process. But it's because of that, it's been awesome. So what we decided to do is me and one of my co-founders, after we got home a couple summers ago from working, we decided to go to Dev Mountain. We left more or less school at the time. We pretended to take a couple classes at BYU, but we really didn't. And we went to Dev Mountain, brushed up on some skills, gained a lot of skills, and more importantly, networked and made a lot of good friends. And then from there, we started building out a prototype. Honestly, not knowing what we're doing, building our first thing ever. We were just doing what we needed to do to get to our next step. And for us, we knew we needed to bring on somebody awesome in order to make the step in the right direction that we needed at that time. And that's what ended up happening. So we decided an accelerator would be a great idea for us. We, being delusional, really only set our sights on Y Combinator, 500, and Techstars. And thinking, yeah, we just dropped out of BYU, of course we can get in. I don't know what we were thinking, but luckily we were thinking that way. And we applied to Y Combinator and Techstars. And we ended up getting an interview with Techstars, and we ended up going through the process. I don't know if you guys are familiar with those 2 entities, but both accelerators, they end up investing $120K in your company and put you through a 3.5-4 month program and then you're plugged into their network forever. And so we ended up getting interviewed by Techstars London, which is super weird. And we're like, yeah, cool, London, yeah, we'll do it. And we got in, and it was super exciting. And in some ways not convenient and not how we planned, because we just all of a sudden had to pack up and take off to London 4 weeks later. But in that 4-week period, we ended up, so I can say, we ended up stealing Tyler McGinnis from Dev Mountain. We borrowed him permanently. He had written their curriculum and was their lead instructor at the time. And we convinced him, hey, don't go join a big company, come be the king of a very small one. And he saw the vision and understood what we were doing and decided to come. And we just took off together to Techstars London, where we scrapped the crappy product that we had built before and started new. And that was, we showed up in London in July, I think. So we ended up scrapping our product, built as fast as we could. I think they whipped out a beta in 8-9 weeks. We got it into the App Store. It was awful, not what we wanted, but we did it anyway. We got it in the App Store, got it into some people's hands. We chose some influencers in the cancer community to first get on. That sounds kind of funny, but just like all the Provo models and fashion people, there are cancer ones. There are cancer equivalents that have big followings on Twitter, that run organizations, that have good blog followings, and we brought them on to the app. And to tell you the truth, the initial reaction, as any of you know that have built and shipped products, is that you want to just like fire hose users into your app, into your product. And that was the temptation, because we knew, oh, what the heck, we're a startup. We need to be like killing it all the time. And we had to stop and sit back and realize, is like that what we need to do for us and our product? Does that even make sense? And so we fought off a lot of the temptation and the pressures that come from startup world, startup land, and decided that that wasn't going to be like our path. It hadn't been our path that up to that point. We'd been really slow in our minds, and it ended up being a great decision. And we spent the last, since coming home from Techstars in about November, wrapping up a note to give us some space, some time. We spent basically from then to now working on the product, iterating, bringing on chunks of influencers, chunks of users, to get to the point where we are now. Our product still isn't perfect, it's never going to be, but we're happy about it. And we're getting ready for our public launch, which is extremely exciting, because I feel like we've been about to publicly launch for about a year, which is a lesson in and among itself, to be honest. But that's where we are at this point. I don't know other little details I should say.
Let's open up to questions.
Let's answer some questions.
Do you have a medical director for your program? I know you're thinking about getting one. And the other suggestion, I have a suggestion, is hooking up with Huntsman Cancer Institute, Salt Lake City, who will then refer people to you, which would be wonderful. By the way, I think what you're doing is great.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, so we are working with Huntsman. So there's something called HIPAA. I don't know if you've heard of HIPAA. Hopefully, data protection essentially for patients. It's one of the reasons like the problem exists, because a doctor can't just be like, oh, you just got diagnosed with ALL leukemia, meet Tommy, he also has it. It's just against the law. And so, that's one of the reasons that we do need to exist, and we're working with Huntsman, and we're learning the ways that we can work with hospitals. Thanks.
Can you describe a little bit more about where you are as a product, how many users we have, and how they interact with it? It's all on an app,
Yeah, I didn't explain that at all, so thank you. Yeah, so we are mobile first, so everything is happening in an app right now. It's just iOS. We're built in React Native, but we are just on the App Store. I think we're about at 600 users, between 500 and 600 users. And so what happens right now is users get onto the app. Like I said, they put in some things about their cancer, the type of cancer they have, subtype, stage when they were diagnosed, and to take a step back, because I didn't tell you that, we break our users into three types: current fighters of cancer, survivors of cancer, and supporters. So parents, spouses, advocates, whatever that may be. And then once you get onto the app, you have a feed. That's something we ended up fighting and then eventually giving into, where it's just like any other social media, and it's the posts of any users that you follow. And what we do is we end up helping you connect you to other users that are like you, and we allow you to filter through and find somebody that has your kind of cancer, that's in the age range that you're looking for. And you can get kind of as granular as you want. And that's something that we're working on, is getting more and more granular with that.
Are you just another ad-based model, or do you have an actual revenue plan? Because apps are hard to make revenue.
Absolutely. Yeah, so we to answer that, we are not going to be like your typical ad-based app. We're not going to throw up banners. That's slutty, and not for and for us, it's just not appropriate. You know, it's not going to be like, get treated by doxorubicin. Like, that's just super weird. What we're looking at is to, you know, add streams of revenue that add value to our users. So a couple of spaces that we're looking into involve market research, outcomes research, things that we can actually come in and not only help the current process, but really innovate. And we've been learning about more and more about that every day. And we're also really interested in clinical trials. You hear that a lot. It's because it's a really hot issue in the space. It's like a $6 billion industry, patient recruitment is, which is just, you know, the process of literally getting patients to participate in clinical trials. And one of the key problems there is just knowledge. People don't know that they're available to them because you only know what your doctor knows. And unfortunately, doctors don't know everything. And so we can come in and fill a gap and really improve upon patients' life, but also really add value to the healthcare space.
So if you had like a magic wand that limits the want for business the next like 2 months.
Oh, the next 2 months? Magic wand? Cure cancer. I think so. Partnerships are difficult for us. For hospital-wise, I think a magic wand. We've talked with Mayo and MD Anderson. We have good connections there, and City Hope and things like that. Would be stronger, you know, figuring that puzzle out of where we can really fit in their ecosystem.
No, that's not hard to do. I think you'll find them very helpful at the medical director because they're interested in the long-term care of that patient. IHC and other groups are doing that anyway. To some degree, what you're trying to do is hooking people up. You're not interfering with HIPAA to give them a website where they can work with people. And that's why you could get a volunteer medical director that is in that field that I believe would probably help you out. I know a couple of people that might do that. But anyway, I think that's very helpful if you can get it. The other thing I just real quickly want to point out is that on site there's a lot of drugs that like Rituxan, brand new drug, doesn't have the hair loss issues of some of the other drugs. You don't have the same symptoms, fighting a lot of blood cancer issues. And so a flag on something like that sometimes just alerts people that drug's out there. They talk to the physician about it, and they may actually get started on that. They might start that because it may work for them. In fact, there was a case just a month ago. It was exactly like where Rituxan made a difference. Anyway, they'll support you and they'll give you money.
Sure.
What's the significance of your
Maybe called cancer spot because my hair never grew back after my stem cell transplant, and my friends would call it the cancer spot, and they would like to say it in public to weird people out, make them feel uncomfortable, to tell you the truth. And we thought it was a great name for the app, and then we kept having people think that we were like, take a picture of your skin cancer and track it. We're like, ooh, let's probably change. And so while in the middle of Techstars, we went through a rebranding process, and for like what felt like 8 months, but it was probably 10 days, we changed our name like 5 times until we landed on Spero. Spero is Latin, it means hope. And we ended up going with it because it has meaning, but it's not in your face. We didn't want to be like Giving Tree for cancer because it sounds like too, you know, non-profit-y or things like that to feel good. And we ended up really liking Spero.
Last question. What can we do as a 1 million community for you?
Wonderful question, friend. So today, we would really love you if you go to sharespero.com, or you can go to our Twitter, but it's probably easier. This is just going to take you to our Thunderclap. You probably know Thunderclap. If you don't, It's like Kickstarter, except we don't want your money, we want your social media. And you just get on and you can pledge your Facebook, your Twitter, your Tumblr, if you are a Tumblr-er. And what happens is on the day that we've designated, everybody that's signed up will post at the exact same time. And it's a link to our video, our product video that we have. And that's going to be the day that we launch publicly. So that would be a great help, and we will love you forever. Don't forget, it's Share Spero. Be a good friend. You hate cancer. Sign up with this.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. A few quick announcements before our next presenter. Tomorrow there's a lunch at Big Door for their product hunt event. There'll be companies like Chatbooks and others there where you can go and check out their products. If you're interested in going, they will provide some lunch. To do that, RSVP so that they know that you're coming so they can have food for you, okay? We'd also like to give a shout out to Wallaroo, who's provided breakfast this morning. Woo-woo. Nice folks over at Wallaroo. They do cool stuff, and if you want to know what they do, talk to Wallaroo peeps. In the back wall is pretty much Wallaroo. Yeah, they didn't bring their Wallaroo heads today, but they're at the office if you want to see it. And then we also have an announcement from John Richards about our presenter who's going to be presenting next week.
So, you know those small business loans, you go online, apply, and they're like 30% plus interest rates? You're pretty familiar with those? Okay. So there's a new lender out of Austin, Texas called Able that actually gives almost bank rate loans to small businesses in the same way. Their whole mission is to not have you get hurt by those kind of predatory lenders. So they're coming to town and they're going to speak to 1 Million Cups next week on April 6th. But on April 5th, the evening before, Start Your Mission and Able are going to put on a how to fund info session here in this room in the evening. And before the event, Able has 6 slots where its representatives will meet with anybody interested in financing. They financed 2 of the companies I mentor here in Utah County, and it's been nothing but a splendid experience for everybody involved. It's a really cool social validation lending model. So ablelending.com, you can look it up. But if you're interested, then the reason I'm going to give this announcement, if you want one of those 6 slots, please go RSVP for the Tuesday night event, which will then give you the ability to sign up for one of those slots. And they'll be here at 1 Million Cups next week. It'll be fun. Thanks.
Thanks, John. Yeah, it's cool. There's, you know, for startups, it's really hard to get money sometimes. You don't have a business or assets that you can lean on. Able is a cool group that actually can connect you. So cool. Let's see. As far as announcements.
New venture challenge?
Oh yeah, BYU's having a new venture challenge. April 1st. You can go up there to the JSB, check it out. Competition. There's cash prizes for startups. So it's the Adventure Challenge. It's sponsored by the Rome Center for Entrepreneurship. So
2:30, I think it's start.
2:30 p.m. start time, April 1st. April 1st.
Friday.
Whatever day that is.
It's the culmination of their year-long entrepreneurial efforts. The best teams that have formed all year long. It's the finalists.
Cool. So it's the finalists of their startup challenge. Should be pretty cool.
Will this be coming on our Million Cups?
Yeah, we'll have an announcement on the newsletter. Well, guys, you know, at 1 Million Cups, we have many different types of people or businesses present, anywhere from ideas to companies who have just started in their first year or second year, to companies that have been at it for 5 years or more that have been successful and come back to tell their stories. Mayor Curtis is here presenting next, Mayor of Provo City. He challenged everyone in the crowd to come up with their own idea and to present, to be able to come present it and share it. And so today he's doing what he said he would do. He said he would do it, come with an idea and bring it back. So we're excited to hear Mayor Curtis share his idea. And so we'll give the mic over to Mayor Curtis. Round of applause for Mayor Curtis.
Thanks, Chris. You know, I came here a number of months ago, and as mayor, you just say stuff sometimes. And I got in front of the crowd, got motivated, and I said, "You guys all need to come present." And then I said, "If you do it, I'll do it." And there I was stuck. And so I'm here today without my mayor's hat, just as John. And to be honest with you, that's a little awkward for me. I don't quite know what to do. It's been so long since I've just put on that hat. So the first thing we need to do before we even start, do you know that it's Provo's birthday week? Did you know that? We're 167 years old. Thank you. I want you to look over at Brent at the camera, and with me at one time say, "Happy birthday, Provo." Ready? 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday, Provo! Thank you. I'm attending as many birthday parties as I can this week. I start this morning at 8 o'clock at Timpview. I'm here. We go back to Timpview at 10:35, Centennial Middle School, the shops at Riverwoods, Gurus, and I have 3 parties tonight. So it's a big birthday week. So I want to present an idea that I have to you. And you'll notice up here on the slide, I put this major disclaimer on there that this has nothing to do with the city. No city resources were used in this. And it's important in my world that somebody not perceive that I've used anything from the city, either my own personal, either my city time, copiers, disc, anything. So just this disclaimer that this is just all me and nothing to do with the city. Okay, so should we jump into this? Thank you. I'm going to try to explain something that's in my head to you, and I hope I can do it successfully. And I'll watch the expressions on your face to see if I've been able to do this. So we live in this world that is pretty amazing, right, with technology. And the mere fact that we can do with a cell phone what we can do is just astounding. I tease my wife that at a whim, she can vibrate my right cheek by sending me a text message. It goes up to a satellite, comes back down into my pocket, and vibrates right in my pocket. I mean, for many of you, maybe that's not amazing, but people my age, this is just amazing. And how much we're releasing. And if you think about it, the number of things that have access into our personal data is unlimited. I'm recently a Fitbit convert. Any Fitbits here? Yeah. So what do they know at Fitbit about us? Right? A lot. They know all my habits. They know where I am. They know where I've been. They know how hard I exercise. They know when I exercise. Those of you with cell phone cameras, what do they know? What do people know about you? What do they know about you from your web searches, right? From Google Maps? What do people know about you? Well, so much of this is good, right? Because they have data, they do good things with it. But do you ever stop every once in a while and say, this is just a tad bit creepy, right? This is just a little bit worrisome. And so we do, and what we try to do, and what the industry has tried to do, is build walls around these people looking for your personal data, right? We all know just a million different ways to try to keep people out of your personal data. And what is wrong with this model? Inevitably, they get in. Most often because we let them in, right? On your cell phone today, how many of you have permissions that let people know exactly where you are? And if you don't think you do, the number of people that know where you are today is legion, right? Is that a fair statement? And yet the industry has dealt with all of this by trying to block people from getting into your data, and I believe that they never will. This kind of started in my mind because I have a lot of associations with high-tech companies. Google is a really good example. If you go visit Google, they're pretty straight and upfront with you that they are going to someday know enough about you that they will send a driverless car to your door because it's Monday at 8, and you haven't asked for it, but they know Monday at 8 that you want a car to go to work, and they know that you want to stop at Starbucks on the way there, and that's all programmed in there, and they know that because it's the 4th Monday, you're not going to be going today, but you will be tomorrow, right? I mean, they actually are pretty bold about this much data that they're going to get from you. So how do we feel about it? Just a couple of things here. 80%, this is from the Pew Research Center, 86% of internet users have taken steps online to remove or mask their digital footprints. ranging from clearing cookies to encrypting their emails, from avoiding using their name to using virtual networks that mask their internet protocol address. And what is the problem with all of these things that we try to do? We just are not thorough enough, and eventually somebody gets into the data. We are watching you. This is a quote from Eric Schmidt. If you have something that you don't want anyone to know, maybe you should be doing it in the first place. And that's their philosophy, right? Is, hey, it's all public data. Well, where does Google get data from you? Just take a quick look at that list. They've got you. They've got information on you. Let me tell a story just real quickly. I love to go to the gym, and I hate to have other people see me work out. So every Saturday morning, I figured out at 5 a.m. nobody's at Vasa. It's the only time nobody's there, right? So I get in my car almost religiously on Saturday morning about 5 a.m. and what do I sit down on the seat next to me? I don't have in my calendar anything where I'm going. My phone lights up and it says, you will be in Orem in 5 minutes, because it's predicting my behavior based upon previous things that I've done. Creepy? You tell me, right? I'm going to skip that real quick. In word and deed, most Americans would like the ability to be anonymous and untracked online, at least every once in a while. So what do? If we can't keep people from getting in, if we are going to open all our permissions to let them in, is there an answer here? This was one of those sitting in bed early one morning, and this light bulb goes off, and I said, I have an idea. Well, what is the idea? I don't have a good name for it, and this is the best name I've come up with it so far, is false data interjection. Okay? Imagine for a minute if you were sending out signals with your data and they didn't know what was good information and what was bad information. Would all of a sudden that information be worthless to them? Right? So that's the idea, and I can see you're nodding your heads, you're agreeing with me. So for a minute, instead of building walls, the whole approach is different. We're sending out information, and not all of it is real information. So I took one application, and that was internet search. And I said, you're buying your wife a necklace, and you're searching for necklaces, and then she comes up behind you, so you quickly change the computer screen, right? This is a necklace, right? It's not why some of you would change the computer screen, okay? But what did you change it to? You changed it over to Facebook, and guess what's there along the side is a bunch of ads for necklaces, right? And right where that's happened to you. So we build an app. I use the term we liberally. I had an app built, and its sole purpose is to do false internet searches. And it runs on your phone, and it has a dashboard, and you can take this dashboard and you can set all of these different parameters. Some of you want to be more invisible than others. Some of you want to be 100% visible. Some of you want to be a little invisible. So the dashboard lets you select parameters about how many searches you want to do. And then it has a database of different categories, and you decide how much you want that categories, how much of that category you want to be represented in your searches. And then guess what? It goes and does random searches at your, based upon your settings, and it's really pretty amazing. So this will show you right here what happens. So this is a search about ready to take place. You can see it did a random search at 10:48, and then it did 4 clicks down into these different categories. Kind of fun, isn't it? So we're about ready to search. This was at 12:52, right there. And so it's randomly picking a time, it's randomly picking a category, and it'll show you here what it's doing under my Google account. 4 clicks, solvent, and then a random category 3, and then it's going to randomly pick something else and do a search here in a minute. Trips to Africa. So on my Google thinks that I'm looking for trips to Africa while I'm doing that. So that's my idea. Now let me tell you my problems. I have close to zero bandwidth, and so this is sat largely stagnant. And I've got a person or two that we're working on in this to try to take it to the next level. But I'm here, and a friend of mine is here, just to kind of see what you guys think, because this got legs. Now, the question, there's tons of questions about revenue model and things like that, and it's really quite immature in its progression, right? There's a million ways you could look at revenue models. We haven't really gone that deep. One of them would be to simply offer this for free, but if you want, additional features and different additional things that throw people off, you could do more of that. And there's lots of different things, directions you could go. I think the most important thing is it an idea with legs? Yeah. So what do you think?
Really interesting. My first question was, what am I afraid of by people knowing where I am? The second one is, if I really am, can I ping up a false GPS signal that makes them think I'm somewhere I'm not? And when people catch up with me, probably they don't do it.
So,
I just don't
okay, let me try to answer your first question. It's like, should I be worried about this? Yeah. Right? And this is my problem, is the world that I function in and the people I talk to, I see where this is going. So in today's world, there's a lot of good that comes from people having this data, right? Is it all bad that Google can send a card to my door when they think I want it? The problem is, where does this end? And in my mind, this is where the creepy part is. It ends at some point where everything from law enforcement to everything just uses predictive data to tell us about you. And to me, that's creepy.
1984.
Yeah, so right, yeah. And so to me, it's like, well, we should have an ability to decide if we're in or out. And that's the problem right now. We don't have that ability to decide if we're in or out. And how much we're in or out. Yeah, yes.
You identified other competitors or products like this?
So interestingly, to the best of my ability, nobody is doing this. I've actually filed a provisional patent, and we'll be moving to a full patent on this because nobody can find anybody there are a couple of people who have questioned this, and more from a research perspective than an actual application perspective. But I'm not here to say nobody in the world is doing this. I'm here to say I haven't found anybody that's doing this. Yeah.
I just have a part question. So the solid metrics after, were those inputs that you had put in originally that it can pull from, or is that confusing?
Yeah. So right now, I think one of the flaws with this application is we programmed it with 20 or so databases of pre-selected information that goes to randomly. I think a better approach would have been to just go out to Webster's dictionary and randomly, and not have those pre-selected categories. One of the flaws with this, if you use this app, after several weeks, it's just searching the same things. It's not broad enough. So that's a flaw that needs to be worked through in it right now.
Randomization is really hard.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah.
One of the thoughts I was having is there a way to blacklist certain search terms?
So, okay, so this is an interesting question. Like, if we really let this thing go, that means at some point it could randomly pick a word that would be very embarrassing to us. So my feeling to that is I actually believe ultimately the application should give somebody the ability to either go 100% random or to peel back and say, we want to filter out certain things. If it's truly going to be random, you can't filter out a bad word, right? There's cover in that for people, right? Oh, sweetheart, look, it was random. I didn't search for that. Yeah, there was back, where did it go, Chris? Yeah, back in the back.
I think an idea about getting revenue, you could probably go the traditional way, after it, or depending on the moral and how you want to build this, you could probably go like a selective look, and it's so big that people notice it.
So, that's an interesting question. We kind of talked about what happens if you get on Google's radar screen, and to me, that's the day you pop the corks and celebrate. If you could actually get to the point where Google was concerned about you, that's a celebration day, right? And I actually, so that would be an interesting play, right? To say, okay, Google, just come wipe us out. I also think it would be interesting because if you reach that point, you would be having a large enough success that you could afford to spend money to counter their moves to try to counter you, right? Because they're going to try to write an algorithm to pick up your randomness. Well, then that would be fun, right? Because then you just change the randomness and then they have to adapt to it. So I could see a little cat and mouse game going, but let's face it, if you're playing cat and mouse with Google, you've won. Yeah.
How do you randomize the other input of data? You want to fit that kind of defeats the purpose if you randomly exercise on the fit that, and I don't know if you can defeat the GPS. And there's always other data inputs outside of this web service, which you can probably go in the stealth mode and kind of get by, kind of not. So I'm curious about how you're actually going to randomize the other areas of the quadrant.
And I can only tell you here, we've just not developed it that far. But my belief is that there's ways to do everything from false GPS signals to false Instagram pictures to just the whole. And it's fun, right? I mean, one of the things I noticed about all of you is you smiled when you thought about fooling Google, right? Now, it's fun. The question is, would you pay for it? But it is fun, right?
My background is in computational linguistics, and I want to encourage you. Randomizing search terms is not the it's actually pretty easy. There's also real-time language databases that you could easily check.
Excellent, thank you. That's good, really good feedback.
Something off is a revenue idea. Maybe this is feeding your purpose. Develop those search terms. Maybe you could actually sell those terms to brands that want to advertise their stuff on those Google banners. For example, if they did Snapchat searches.
Very interesting, yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of fun, isn't it? So how are we on time, Chris? What are we? Okay. You had a question, Chris? No, we're really, really, really young in our maturity on this thing. Yeah, back.
So this is mobile, but a lot of people use their service through, desktop, and are tied in with their Google account when they do that. Work with finance, future growth into
Right now, this whole thing is self-financed, and so we just built one app for Android. The thought was that more Android users were concerned about privacy than Apple users. So we just built this one app, but we'd like to take it to that next level. Yeah, you here, and then we'll go here. How are you?
I would say, personally, I think that it's like a half measure. Personally, I would say anybody that's really concerned about the privacy would use something like Tor. And like a Tor exit node, your traffic for any searches that you're doing is totally mixed in with everybody else's traffic. Nobody knows who's searching for what before. And somebody that's concerned about the privacy would see that and maybe
yeah, lots of approaches to privacy. Chris? Yes.
What if you teamed up with somebody like LifeLock and have them offer as a supplemental service?
Yeah, I actually think a team would be really good. So let me, because we're almost out of time, let me just, Chris, go ahead.
What can normally that's do for you?
Excellent. So I put my email up here. You'll notice this is not my city email. And as I've talked to people about this, and you're no exception here, everybody is intrigued by this. And everybody kind of wants to see where this can go. Let me tell you the problems for myself is bandwidth. And for instance, I've talked to somebody who might be a potential investor, and he said, you know what you're missing? You've got everything, but you don't have the team, right? Because I can't do this by myself. So I put my email up here, and we would love to hear from you, your ideas, your suggestions, people you feel like could be part of a team that could give this legs. That's really, Chris, what you can do is give us that feedback. Overall, what you think about this, ideas you've got, and that's why my email is up there for you to just blast me with emails. I spend 2 hours a day answering city emails. I can spend a little bit of time answering yours. And it's kind of a fine line, and so I thought we'd bring it here and share it with you today. I hope you found it interesting. Yeah, so Chris reminds me, look, I'm here. Nobody is more out of their comfort zone than me here. And if I can do this, every single person in a seat today needs to think of an idea and come present at Million Cups. Will you take that challenge?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. If I can do it, trust me, you guys can do it. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
All right, guys, thanks. Very cool, very, very cool. We'll send out Mary Curtis's email to the newsletter as well. And again, thanks for coming. The space is ours for the next little bit. So if you guys want to chit chat and hang out, we'll throw some music on. You can hang out. Thanks, guys.